Prosecutor Bill Thompson, who has been prosecutor since 1992. He has been on the Idaho Prosecuting Attorneys Association Board of Directors. He is currently serving as the president of the Idaho Association of Counties, and he does a lot of training of folks in the criminal prosecution area. And Ray Barker is a graduate of University of Idaho School of Law, as is Bill Thompson, and he spent 6 years in the Marine Corps, where he was defense counsel and special general courts marshal. He now is in private practice in Moscow, specializing in bankruptcy and criminal law. So we're going to learn everything there is to know about the jury system.
Well, I don't know about everything there is to know, but we'll at least try to break the ice with this. I'm Bill Thompson. I'm the Lake County prosecutor, and as we introduced, I've been since 1992. I've been an attorney here in Moscow since 1980. Ray has been here since Moscow was created. My good friend Ray Barker. And Henry Ann has been around here for quite a while, but is our newly elected court, doing a phenomenal job as the Lake County Court. What we've tried to prepare for you today is an overview of the jury system, particularly in the criminal context as it works here in Idaho. Each state, of course, is unique. They have their own laws. So we're going to try to walk through some of the basic principles of what creates juries, the process, how you end up getting on a jury. You might want to talk about ideas on how to get off the jury. We'll try that. Maybe share some war stories. This is pretty free form, so please feel free to jump in and ask questions. We've reserved time at the end for a discussion, as long as the two attorneys cannot be attorneys, not talk for the court. And I know Ray won't have that problem, but I will. So, I don't have a wireless mouse. I'll just have to work it through here. Most of you, if not everybody, is aware that we have in both our federal constitution and the state constitution a guaranteed right to trial by jury and by an impartial jury. What you see on the screen right now is the 6th Amendment to the United States Constitution. That applies to the states by virtue of the 14th Amendment. And then Idaho's own constitution also preserves the right of trial by jury, applying both in civil and criminal cases. So it's a jury of your peers. And this is where Henry Ann is going to explain how you end up on the list, because it's her office that creates the master jury list.
Yes, thank you, Bill. It's always great to be here. So what we're governed by is called the Uniform Jury Selection and Service Act. And I love it that the first two things in here state that the policy is that all persons for jury service be selected at random and from a fair cross-section of the population of the area. So after they define the act, they say that's the most important point, that is at random and a cross-section. The second thing I like is that it states that a citizen shall not be excluded from jury service in this state on account of race, color, religion, sex, or national orientation. So it was very important when they wrote this, not that you could figure out how you could get out of jury duty, but that no one could be excluded or discriminated against. So that's the second piece. So I am just one member of the jury commission. Our administrative judge down in Lewiston, Judge Broody, appoints another commissioner, and the two of us serve on what's called the jury commission, and we develop a master jury list. The master jury list has to start with the current voter registration list, which my office is in charge of, and then it says you supplement it by either adding the driver's license, utility customer list, property taxpayers, motor vehicle registrations, or state ID cards. These are the entities that have been approved by the Supreme Court that you can supplement your voter registration list with. We choose to only use the driver's license list. And the important piece here is that we not have any duplicates. So you might be registered to vote, and you might also be a registered, you have your driver's license here. That doesn't mean you're on the list twice, because we go through and delete any duplicates. Because of course, if you're on there twice, you're going to have a greater propensity to be chosen over somebody who's only on there once. The list is open to the public. Every odd year in December, we are mandated to completely empty that list and reload it. So that'll be coming up here this December. And that's about all I have.
So if you don't drive and you don't vote, you might not get on a jury list.
I just want to ask
Yeah.
one question. I heard somewhere that you stay on the jury for 2 years, so is this what you just said?
It is the every odd is December. Every odd year
December.
in
Okay,
December.
that's nice to know.
Yeah, and
Why don't you use those other things, categories?
I just don't think very many of the counties do, and I think it would be, I don't know, a lot of those people like that pay property tax live in other states and around other counties. We just, I think, convolute the issue.
And what you see on the screen right now is a jury qualification form. If you are lucky enough to end up on Henry Ann's list, you're going to receive one of these in the mail. And it asks you all sorts of basic questions about jury qualifications. And as we go through the statutes here in just a little bit, you'll see where they come from. Because in order to sit as a jury, you have to be a U.S. citizen, you have to be a resident of the county, and there are a variety of other things. It's important, Henry Ann likes to point out, that you have to fill these out and return them, because if you don't, you can go to jail, which is something the county court just loves to do. But this is a standardized form that you'll receive in the mail and be asked to return to the court.
Do you only get that if you're called? I mean, we don't,
No, if you end up on the list, you're going to get it.
Yeah, you could get one, but, and you do need to fill it out and send it back. It doesn't mean you'll end up on the master jury list, but you do need to fill it out so that we know whether to leave you on or take you off.
All right, so types of juries. Actually, I'll just sit down here for a minute and not go back and forth in front of everybody. In civil cases, we can have 12 jurors, or any less number that's agreed by the parties, and in order for a civil jury to reach a verdict, it takes 3/4 of the 12 to agree on the verdict.
Civil is what?
Civil would be cases where private people are suing each other, as opposed to criminal cases where it's the state of Idaho prosecuting an alleged crime against an individual. In criminal cases, if it's a felony case, which are the most serious cases, the law says 12 persons on the jury, unless both the state and the defendant agree to fewer. That doesn't happen hardly at all, but it's possible. For misdemeanors, which are the less serious criminal offenses, it's 6 jurors. What's important to know about criminal cases, though, is the verdicts have to be unanimous. So if you're dealing with a felony trial, all 12 jurors have to agree with the verdict. And that means agree to acquit or agree to convict. And if all 12 cannot reach agreement, we end up with what's called a hung jury, a mistrial, and we get to do it all over again with another jury, which happens. It's not fun, but it happens. And this reflects the importance that the state of Idaho places on presumption of innocence, and that it is the state's, the prosecution's burden to prove somebody guilty beyond a reasonable doubt to the satisfaction of all 12 jurors. In Idaho, we also have what are called grand juries. And you see these on TV, and the federal courts use them a lot. Some of the larger population areas in Idaho use them as well. A grand jury is not a trial jury. It's not deciding guilt or innocence. A grand jury is actually an investigative body. Grand juries meet in secret. They have 16 people. They need at least 12 of the 16 to be present for them to operate. And they hear in private testimony from people with witnesses, from people who have knowledge about whatever the case may be. And it's their job to determine whether there's probable cause to believe that a crime has been committed. If the grand jury believes that, they issue what's called an indictment, which is a charging document, and then the case becomes public and it goes through the criminal trial process. Grand juries are secret for a number of reasons. They're secret to protect the privacy of what they're investigating, to protect people who may be named as a suspect, but it turns out there's not evidence to substantiate that, and to protect against that person's good name being sullied in the community. Grand juries can also be used in situations where you have recalcitrant witnesses, witnesses who for whatever reason don't want to come forward voluntarily because a grand jury can compel their attendance and compel them to testify. And again, secretly, so it's not, what they're saying at that time is not public.